Hello everybody, it is time for another episode of the Opinion Corner, where I sit in front of a mic and talk about whatever's on my mind today. Today we're going to continue the series of me talking about the new wave of Mario Kart 8 DLC tracks. Once again, we have 8 tracks to talk about, 4 from the Propeller Cup and 4 from the Turnip Cup. I'll talk about them for a bit, basically just give a rundown on what I thought about the track, and everything else in between, and then I give it a ranking from 1 to 10. So first let's start with the Turnip Cup, the first track in the cup being New York Minute. And actually, I was quite surprised. I didn't think I'd like this track as much just because I thought the layout was kind of simple. Since it's sort of like, you know, the first tour track, so it's sort of like to ease you into the new tracks and stuff. They were still kind of sort of getting their footing on how they wanted to design these city tracks. And honestly, I think what they did in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was pretty fun. For one, it's really nice to look at. It's so fun to see the city lights and everything, driving through with all the lights reflecting on the little puddles on the floor. I love the final lap of the track where you drive through a bunch of different buildings and then you go up this spiral. The path changes every lap, just like Tokyo Blur, but I think this track does it better. I think it helps that New York Minute has a lot to look at. It's very colorful and vibrant compared to Tokyo Blur, which felt very empty at times. Though while I enjoyed the final lap a lot, I thought it was really short. It's my favorite part of the track. I think it's the best part of the track. This huge bang to really finish it off when the music starts to ramp up, and then it just ends. It just feels so abrupt. It also doesn't really seem to have much shortcut potential. There are a couple cuts that I spotted here and there, but for the most part, it seems like a pretty standard front-running track. In short, I feel like New York Minute is very aesthetically pleasing and has some really high points. Mainly, I feel like all of the layouts kind of make up for how simple some of the routes feel, but the track feels really short and there's not a lot of shortcut potential, though it seems like a really fun track to explore. So I'll have to give this track a 7.5 out of 10. Next is SNES Mario Circuit 3, and yeah, the off-road sections are huge. I was actually pleasantly surprised because in my main channel video, I sandbagged for one of the laps to see if I could, you know, catch up. And yeah, there's a lot of room to take a lot of cuts, lots of opportunities to get back in the game, and I think this is the type of track that the game really needs. As for the track itself, well, it's a SNES Mario Circuit track. There's not really much to see. It looks fine. It's nothing really crazy, but it's not bad as a track either. But still a big fan of this edition just because this game could use tracks with a lot of shrimp spots. And I think this track does a really good job at that. Still, compared to everything else, it does feel like it's lacking some strong, unique features that make the track more memorable. But just because I'm really happy we get to see a counterpick luck track in this game again, I'm gonna give this track a 7.5 out of 10 as well. Alright, next up is N64 Kalimari Desert. So yeah, just like my first impressions video, the path does change, kind of funny too. Lap 2, there's just this giant ramp that forces you onto the train tracks. Though it's a very short lap, so it really makes you feel like, oh, that's it? The lap was just transferring to the train tracks? I think the gimmick's kind of cool, but it really felt like lap 2 and lap 3 were supposed to be a full lap, because you basically just drove half the track and then you drove the other half in the final lap. I kind of see what they were trying to go for. I think they wanted to make sure that the track wasn't super long, but then you kind of just get like the N64 Rainbow Road effect, where then the track just feels way too short. And because of the second lap, it doesn't really seem like there's going to be that many shroom spots, or at least not many shroom spot opportunities, though there are definitely some opportunities in lap 1 and lap 3 to really make things count. So one lap change I don't think is super drastic, though it's only like day 1 thoughts, so we'll just have to see how it develops. But yeah, cool ideas, really short, though it looks really nice. It's got some off-road potential, but SNES Mario Circuit 3 unironically feels like a better counterpick track. Still, I think Kalimari Desert will prove to be very useful in that department as well. I think it'll be a very fun luck track still. Very happy this is in the pack regardless, 7 out of 10. And the last track of the Turnip Cup is Waluigi Pinball, which hasn't really changed. It's the same old track that you know and love, which is honestly a good thing, I think. Keeping the track as faithful as it can, I think, works in its favor, especially for the fans of the track, so they don't have to worry about the track feeling foreign when they play it. It's got a lot of the same charm, the item box roulette is still pinball themed, it feels great to play on, it looks visually pleasing, and it even has some minor changes to make the game feel more chaotic, like how pinballs can now destroy item boxes. Though I don't know if they do that in Tour, I'm not entirely sure. They might have even added that change in 7 too, it's been a while since I played 7. But yeah, there's not really much to say, it's just Waluigi Pinball. I think it's a solid 8 out of 10. It's just a neat addition to the pack overall. Alright, now we're moving on to the Propeller Cup. The first track in that cup being Tour Sydney Sprint. This is another track that has a different path for each lap. I guess Paris Promenade was sort of like the New York Minute of this game, where they wanted to see what they wanted to do with the tour tracks. But yeah, I feel like this track is what New York Minute almost could have been. It's another visually pleasing track that's fun to drive on and lengthy enough to feel satisfying as well. There's lots of stuff going on with the visuals and the actual twists and turns, and the second lap also includes a little break section to pace the visuals, where you get to stroll through a little park, which I think is really nice. It made the track feel really fun and leisurely to drive on. Even though this is supposed to be a fast-paced racing game, of course, but you know what they say, a change of scenery is always nice. But yeah, I think this track is pretty solid. I think the soundtrack's pretty good for it. The final lap, I feel, ends the track super nicely. Doesn't feel super abrupt. There's also some shortcut potential. Some big shroom spots in lap 2 where you go through the park. And there's even some shroomless shortcuts in 200cc. Like, I'm pretty sure you can trick over the ramp. I think that's one of them. Though I've only seen, like, the world record time trials do it, so all I know is that it looks pretty cool. But yeah, I actually like this track a lot. A clean 8.5 out of 10, I'd say. Alright, now we're getting into the fun stuff. First of all, GBA Snow Land, awesome track. Goated visuals, probably the best ones in the pack, maybe tied with Waluigi Pinball. The best song in this pack for sure. The track's short and sweet and really fun to play on. Not to mention the glow up is kind of insane. Like, look at it. It's GBA Snow Land. Woo! It also has a really cool shortcut. I think that's awesome too. This track is just really great all along. I love it. Though I guess that's kind of my snow track bias coming in. Though speaking of snow tracks, it has traction elements, so it's probably not going to be fun for many people, or at least those who dislike the traction from ice tracks and Neo Bowser City. But to me, I think it's an awesome, great, cool, adjective addition to the pack. I love this track so much. Totally unbiased, 9 out of 10, of course. I think this is my favorite one so far for both waves. Meanwhile, next we're gonna go to the track that I picked in my one track from each game that I like to see come back video, and that's Mushroom Gorge. And unfortunately, I was kind of disappointed. I feel like the track plays kind of whack in 8, and it didn't feel optimized for the game at all. There's a lot of really fun shroomless cuts though, like doing the hop at the start is pretty fun. Because of how the grass works, you can kind of lift yourself up. And I can't ignore the fact that you can do the gap jump! It's doable with the original method! So I was right, the glider doesn't send you far enough to get you through it, but they just brought the old way back. And I think because of the aforementioned grass physics, it feels much easier, but it's still pretty hard to land, for a reason I'll explain later, but I just think it's really cool that you can still do it. But yeah, another nitpick I have with the track is that it feels really downscaled. Like, the track feels much smaller and more compact. I think the weird compactness of the track kind of showed itself for me more at the end. Like, the turn felt smaller, the grass felt smaller, the road felt more narrow, but I guess I'll just have to get used to how it plays in 8. I think Mario Kart 7 did the physics way better, but overall, it's a pretty fine track, though I'll have to sadly rank this one a 7.5 out of 10. I really wanted to rank this one higher. I don't know, right now, because this is just the first impressions, maybe my opinion will change later on, but yeah, the track just feels really weird to play on. Maybe it's just the fact that I need to get used to it, but we'll see. And for the last track, now let's talk about Sky High Sundae. A track that could either be a tour track that was being developed at the same time, and they just decided to throw it in the pass early, or Nintendo just forgot they weren't making new tracks for the pass and did it anyways. Honestly, with this company, it could be either way. But it's probably my least favorite track in the wave. I felt like Sky High Sundae was kind of messy in its track design, but also kind of plain, if that makes sense, I guess. The track is basically a giant oval, sort of like Excite Bike, and it has a bunch of ramps and tricks just like Excite Bike, but what makes it different is that there's different paths that you can take, and there's no walls or grass. But the track features that it adds helps make Sky High Sundae its own identity, rather than just being a Rainbow Road Excite Bike. I think the theme's kind of fun, but there's a lot of empty spots in the background, which makes the track feel, well, a bit empty. And some of the track itself kind of feels like a Mario Kart Wii custom track, where one of the areas require you to take a leap of faith. Overall, I think the sweeps and stuff look really good on the track, but the track itself is nothing too crazy. The design of the track is basically some decision making on what paths you want to take, and lots of tricks. However, the track is in full anti-gravity, which is the first track in this Booster Course Pass, I think, that includes the mechanic, and it has some pretty creative ways to do it too, like having the rails as the boost spinners. I'm not actually sure what they're called. I've been playing this game for what, 8 years? But I'm gonna give Sky High Sundae a 6.5 out of 10. And that's all the tracks that have been added in Wave 2 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. These are my thoughts, these were my opinions. What did you guys think? What track was your favorite? Was it what you expected? Did you find a new favorite? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. You guys had a lot of interesting things to say in the comment section of the last video, and I had a lot of fun reading them. You guys brought a lot of pretty fun points, and I liked seeing your opinions on what you guys enjoyed, what you guys were excited for. So yeah, let me know your rankings in the comments below. Just hearing why people like the tracks they like is fun to see. And I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Thanks for watching, do the funny YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. Live first impressions, solo and with my friends will be up on the main channel soon, hopefully, so I hope to see you guys there. And above all else, I hope you guys have a good one too. Take care.